Hello. It's the second Sunday in Easter, and our reading today is out of 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 2 to 10. Now here, Peter uses a passage in his letter that he used in that sermon to the Sadducees and the leaders that we saw earlier in Acts chapter 4, where he talks about Christ being the chief cornerstone and having been rejected. And now, in 1 Peter, he applies that to the church. He quotes that passage again, talking about Christ, but he talks about us as being living stones, as being precious stones, which, like Christ, have been rejected by the world around us, have been rejected by many, he says. That we've been rejected by the world and the world system around us because we're like Christ, because we've come into that relationship with Christ in the church. And the church is important in this passage as well, because we're not just living stones and precious to God. We're not stones that God just sort of spins around in his fingers and looks at like some sort of ruby or emerald or diamond. No, we're fitted together as the church. We're living stones that are built together as an edifice of which Christ, who was also rejected, is that chief cornerstone. It's upon him and his foundation that we are built together as the church. This bunch of rejects from the world system is built together as his church. We're fit together still as living stones. And this is also the passage where he quotes out of the Old Testament and talks about how we are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and a holy nation. And as Old King James says, a peculiar people. That's a nice term, but a set-apart people. And, that passage was actually taken out of the law, where God is saying those things about Israel, about the children of Israel as they come out of Egypt. And this is Peter's indication that this is actually about the church, that we are that chosen generation. We are that royal priesthood. Because, Israel was called to be a royal priesthood. They were called to be a royal priesthood because all of them offer up sacrifices to God. And also all of them represent the world to God. That was their ministry or mission, was to represent the truth of God's law and God's life to the nations around them. And that's what we're called to do. We're called as the church, as that edifice of living stones, to stand against the world system, but also call the world to Christ, to be a demonstration of what it's like to be in Christ. In fact, Peter, further on down in this chapter, expands upon that and tells us how we should live and behave so that we are that example and that demonstration before the world. They may not understand us. They may reject us, but they will be drawn to us as we offer up those sacrifices of praise to God as that royal priesthood. And I want to encourage you with that today. If you're feeling a bit rejected by those around you, don't be surprised. That's the way it's going to be. But they're going to see the life of Christ in you. They're going to see the life of Christ in you in the church, and they will be drawn to you as God calls them. You will be an example before the world as you offer up the sacrifice of praise. I encourage you with that today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.